Officially, good morning. Welcome out, everyone, to the Market Watch Group midweek check-in. My name is Scott, and I will be your host, as always. Well, not always. Glenn comes in. Always on Wednesdays. Disclaimers. Let me remind you, we're not advisors. We're not brokers. We don't give advice or recommendation. This is for education and illustrative purposes only. What does that mean? Well, it means we're just a group of traders working together to analyze the market, build a watch list, watch and find trades, manage trades, rinse, and repeat. What's our agenda today? Let's watch. Let's start with the futures and the news. We'll watch the market open, see about the analysis. 3 days in, we're halfway through the market. Almost halfway through today. 3 hours in, we'll be halfway through the week. What is our posture? Is it changing? What is our mindset for open trades? Okay, so for the last little bit since the election, it's been smooth sailing. And most of the time when we're talking about mindset for open trades, we're talking about, well, are you taking gains or are you pushing your wins? And it's easy to get complacent in that type of a market. There's actually been many times over the years where I've worked in trading rooms, and I'll be going along, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm expecting a loss or two to come soon." People are like, "Oh, you can't say that. You can't say negative things like that. You can't bring negative thinking into this, Scott. Don't say that you might have a loser soon." It's just pragmatic, right? We're just realistic. It's not like I'm injecting negativity into my trading. I'm just saying, hey, look, this is what happens. Markets ebb and flow. If you think it's just going to flow forever, the next ebb is going to punch you in the face. We don't want to get punched in the face. So it's important for us to, recognize these things are just going to come along. It's not going to, the question is it just a normal little blip or is it disruptive? What do I mean when I say disruptive? When we see something that's just a little bit bigger, more impactful, and you're like, oh, right? What would disruptive look like on the VIX? That's a pretty easy place to go and find disruption. You're going to see that spike above 20. Where are we now? 14 and a half. Right? So perspective is important. Good morning, Kevin. Good to see you. Sandy, beautiful. I appreciate that because that's the mindset for open trades. Got a bit scary. Right? We have a good market. We have a nice run. Good string of winning trades. What happens? Well, you get used to that. Right? Of course you do. You're like, hey. And you start getting into the habit of you put a trade on and the next day it starts going the right way. That's dangerous. It's dangerous. That's the complacency, right? Where we are like, oh, everything's great. And then all of a sudden, when we have expectations that aren't met, guess who shows up? Guess who you just let out of the cage? The chimp, right? And then what? Oh, then the chimp starts running around. He's so happy to be out of the cage. He starts jumping up and down on the keyboard. That's not the trading environment we want. Keep the chimp in the cage. Keep expectations under control and recognize just because we have a bullish market doesn't mean everything goes great all the time. It means that we have the right conditions. It means that I'm not going to take losses easily. I keep saying that, right? There are some markets where if I sniff just a little whiff of it going the wrong way, bing, I'm gone. That's it. Trade's over. It's like, nah, I'm not going to. Is that this market? Think back to any trades you've had in the last 2 months when you took a loss. Where is it now? Right? Where is it now? Where was it a week later, 2 weeks later? Most of the time, they recover because it's a bull market. And that's a great condition to trade in. But it's not a perfect condition. It's better than other times. So what's our mindset for open trades? Well, if you have some losses, gear up, knuckle up, relax. We're going to see how we can ride this thing out for a little bit. So, good talk, everyone. So I have no doubt every one of us has some trades we put on that have turned, especially the early, because if you didn't put new trades on, then you weren't bullish. Of course we were putting new trades on. We're bullish. And eventually this is going to happen, and then we're going to see, is that okay? And if it's just a blip, guess what? We're not going to just be okay. We're going to then add more bullish trades to it. And that's where mindset is important. So I hope that makes sense. And then what? And then the opportunity list to find new trades. Press said, like I said last week, my patience for sideways to losing trades is very low. And there's something to be said for that mindset. That's not a bad mindset, but it can, if you were to, because I say the same thing. I'll tell you what, my kids should thank their lucky stars every day that I went into trading, because trading developed in me a patience that I would not have any other way. And having traded basically since, I started trading around the same time I started having kids, and so worked out well for them. But I tell people all the time, I have no patience and I hate waiting. So I had someone lose audio. Did anyone else lose audio? Give me a quick temperature check on audio, please. Anyone else? I want to make sure that everyone's still hearing me when I had one person lose it. So if anyone else wants to let me know, this could be one of those times where I'm a little lagged on my chat. So I'm going to keep going. Hopefully good here. Okay. Thanks, guys. That'll also let him know that it's on his side. Okay. So where were we? Opportunity list. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff. They'll still sitting up. Still there. So what are we going to do? We're going to go look at that, find it, find some opportunities, see if we have some setups, and see what it looks like. All right, let's get going. Good. Oh, Paul Clark. That doesn't look familiar. If I've never said hello, welcome. Great to have you. Thank you for chiming in. I always love when I see a new name, and sometimes I think it's a new name, but then it wasn't. They're like, yeah, Scott, I've been here for months. What are you talking about? So if that ever happens, I apologize. You guys know there are a couple things. I have a terrible memory, and I have terrible ADD, and it just doesn't do well for me with names. Let's get started. Well, we've already been started. Let's go look at the market. Let's get the ESs just for a second here, and then I'm going to pop over to Yahoo Finance. Oh, well, looky. Look what we have here. After a couple of sell days, what was okay about the sell days? Number one, they did not come with above average volume. And remember that above average volume is much easier on sell days than buy days. That's why, as a general principle, tie goes to the buyers. That's where that comes from, because it's easier. It's just when there's a fear, it's easier for it to show up. That's just the basic inherent principle of market tendencies. So when we look at sell days and we're like, oh, average volume, what do we think? We think normal. Normal's not disruptive. We're looking for disruptive. We're like, hey, is there something bigger at stake, bigger at play? Or is it just a normal pullback and I should be lining up my entries, holding on to my trades that are going against me rather than taking losses? I know every one of you has probably felt this in the last couple months. You took a loss, and it probably was even the right thing to do. And then it recovered. And you're like, damn it. Well, I curse. Maybe you didn't. I'm unrefined. A little crass like that. That's just me. Right? We've all had that. You took it. You're like, yeah, I should take my loss. You take it, and then boom, it recovers. And you're like, oh. And the problem is that right there shouldn't be discretionary first. where you're just like, hey, should I or shouldn't I? It should be contextual first, because that decision is going to be very different at different times. Like I said, if my market posture is a neutral market or just a barely getting going bullish market, I'm not feeling it yet. I'm going to take my loss. It's this market where I'm less, right? This being 5+, we're a 7.25. That to me is the distinguishing characteristic where, yeah. So anyways, let's talk about it. Futures are up 0.48%, which means what? Well, there's an old trader who said, show me the chart and I'll tell you the news. So we have a chart, and then we work our way backwards, and we're like, well, what was going on? Well, Wednesday is CPI day, and we know that everybody, not us, we believe the Fed's decision was made. I don't think, as the representative voice of we, I don't think that the Fed was like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what today's CPI numbers are, and then we'll vote, and everybody will stick their hand out and their thumbs sideways, and then they all either go thumbs up or thumbs down. I know you guys thought it was like way more scientific than that, but that's how the Fed votes. Thumbs out, up or down, like live or die, in the arena. I don't know. Maybe not. But they knew their course of action for the rest of the year. They're watching the data to see if it supports or necessitates a deviation from that. But obviously they haven't seen that. And so as we go look at, I don't know why I was drawing all of a sudden. As we go look at the Fed Watch, let me reload this real quickly here. I never really took a peek at Yahoo Finance before the market opened. Let's just CPI rise matches forecast. Oh, look at that. Yahoo did a pretty good job. A lot of times they'll be like, it's up. But even though it's up, it matches what the forecast was. And so I don't know what's going on over here. Says it's red, but it's up 0.83. Says it's down. We know it's up. Yeah, something's going on with Yahoo Finance this morning. Let's see if we can take a peek at if it loaded the numbers. Maybe it's me. Maybe my system's a little bit slow. I love it. Sandy said, I knew it would turn. Just had to hold my nerves. That's skill development right there. That's trading skill development. Coming with a stronger position where we have a better idea, where we're like, look, I think it's going to hold because, right? Because one of my biggest becauses, let's go take a quick peek at the VIX this morning, then we'll get to the watch list. This is where I was like, okay, there's nothing concerning here. And guess what else is happening? Our lower high is forming today. This is an acceleration signal for us, right? Here's our highs from before, and then we dropped down hard, came back, boom, lower high. How did we like that? We loved that. Comes down here, lower low, pop up. That was the pop up. That was the fear that came with the last 2 days. I don't decide my own fear anymore. What does that mean? It means I don't go, oh, I'm scared. I look to the institutions. Are you guys scared? That's the question I ask. You guys good? You scared? And if they're like, nah, we're not scared. Over here, were they still a little scared? Yes. Over here, were they scared? Much less so. How scared are they under 15? Not, period, at, period, all, period. 15. That was one of our biggest things right there for me. The lack of volume on the sell days, the lack of increase of the VIX, demonstrative of institutions moving into any kind of hedge positions at all. The institutions right now are unencumbered in a full labor market that they have coffers full of money that they're looking to invest at any given time. So all systems are go. That's where we are. Okay, so let's go talk about trades then. So market posture-wise, let me go back real quick. Let's switch to the SPY now. We said this last night. Market posture-wise, any shifts? Short-term trend looks absolutely great, just moving along in that trend. What's interesting right now is that the short-term trend and the long-term trends are actually very much in sync. The long-term was the green, and then we shifted to the blue, but I left it there. And I want you to notice that right now, the remnant of the old long-term and the top of the new long-term are now actually very much representing the entirety, or most of, the short-term. Very cool, very convenient, very helpful for us to kind of keep an eye on this and be like, yep, everything's still going well. And what's happening now? Well, we're up 0.5%, right? Okay, so how bad were these 2 days where people are like, oh, the market's selling off? Is it selling off? Maybe we should reserve using those descriptive terms after 2 days. So I hope we all feel pretty good about where we are, because I do. I not only am I not like, I feel fine, I'm like, where's our next trade? Yes? Both of these last 2 days I was looking for it, but we're obviously not going to put it on a red day. We're looking to make sure we're coming in with the buyers. It's gone quiet. You guys feeling this? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Let me hear it. Sound off for me, please. Let me know how it's going and what you're doing. Apple just kind of just keeps running. We were looking for a little, like, that's just never going to catch me. I need at least a flag. I need at least one more day, and it just didn't come. Okay, keep watching it. Be patient. It'll come. What's the good news? The good news is Apple is a leader. Not just like a tech leader. It is 11% of the NASDAQ, but it's also 7% of the S&P. This is the leader, Apple and Microsoft. As Apple and Microsoft, so goes everything else for the most part. The fact that we were as bullish as we were during this from Microsoft and Apple was very, very much a testament to the strength of the market overall. Amazon. Again, right? Again. These little blips for me are hard. I need at least a flag, which is at least one more day on that. Could you look at this and maybe look to re-enter? Maybe, but for me, I'm going to show patience on it. I think we have enough that we could trade. AppLovin, look at that. Sell day, less of a sell day. Now what? Well, this is a high flyer. So do I think this thing might be able to stabilize and turn again? Absolutely. Absolutely looking for that setup. AXP, the financials have been interesting. They're still kind of trying to work themselves out of it, work themselves around. You can see BAC still just trying to like compose itself right here. BK trying to compose itself. BX, okay. There's an early mover. So Blackstone. That was on our list. Ended up with different choices. But when one starts to move, that's optimistic for the entire group. Carrier. The question here is, was this too much of a pullback? Did we switch our assessment of this was a pullback to now this is a sell-off? Got all the way back to this old resistance back here. I don't know. I'm thinking about it still. Caterpillar holding the 50. We said if it holds the 50, we'll have a conversation. Here's that conversation. I think it looks like a maybe still, if it can bounce. CLS, nice pullback. Someone traded this. Lee, was it you? Someone put this on back here and mentioned it. Nice trade. Now what? Now the horse should be in the stable, getting a drink, getting some food, a little rest, and let's get ready to get him back up to the line on this pullback here. That's definitely something that's a valid setup for us. CMG, dancing around that resistance. If you're in it, you're still able to exit. If you're not, you're still thinking about waiting for an entry. CNK, Cinemark Holdings. Oh, you guys feeling this one? The letter's written. It's getting put into the envelope. We're just waiting for it to be sent off to us. Dear Market Watch traders, have you seen my latest pullback to support? I feel like I'm ready for a bounce trade. What do you think? Love, Cinemark Holdings. I swear. Okay, there we go. There's some chats show up. I had a little bit of a lag. Cinemark. I like it. I like it. I feel like it's developing for us. Coherent, what do we think? Oh, Coherent dropped. How bad were these drops? I mean, it was a big day. CMT. Sandy's losing patience. But not big volume. Second day. And then all of a sudden we're here. Okay. Coherent. I think we maybe will get a chance at this thing. Cisco. Oh, Cisco. Right? It's coming. I'm not impatient. We've got this whole window right here, I would say, for this thing to find itself and turn. That'll whip this thing up, and that gives us our... Isn't that funny how that looks like an envelope? Coincidence? I think not. Delta, setting up. Delta was the one... Delta was the one airline that really held. And look at the trend. Look at what's going on. I think Delta's actually getting into a setup position here. Diamonds. Dow looks like it's setting up. DocuSign. Ooh, smashed on earnings. Maybe giving a little opportunity here. Fastenal. We held on to it because it's given us a few good trades. We said if it holds the 50, a lot of things going on here. I've got these old resistance levels here. Guess what? Look at that straight line. Not bad. Not bad. My old support becomes new resistance right at the 50. Someone asked me yesterday, why do you put the 50 on? It's nothing where it's just like, oh, I think the 50 is this magic number. The 50 is just a nice intermediate level for things like this. I don't like 20 or less on my chart for moving averages. People will have like 5s and 12s and 21s and whatever else they put on there. I like to look at price action when I'm diving deeper into the momentum. I don't think a moving average on those shorter time frames is as helpful. The longer the moving average, the more stable, the more valid, right? So I keep a 50, and then if it breaks the 50, I add the 100 and the 200, because then those start to have more representation or need to be added as a perspective. But this is why, because when I see something like this, I like to know where that line is for that 50 day. So, okay, let's keep going. I feel like we're moving pretty well today through the list. CFI still kind of holding right at that 50. Flex. Flex. I'm losing confidence if it can't stabilize soon. I'll still give it a little bit longer. Bitcoin still staying pretty strong. GE Vernova. I don't know. It's very sideways right now. Gold, General Motors, still holding on to the 50. Google inventing fabulous new microchips or something, computer chips. Google was also one of those that was kind of in this like lull. Tried a couple times to get out, and now it finally has. Interestingly, we have a great big cup forming here. So I would definitely be expecting to hit some resistance in here, at which point maybe a handle forms. Oh, I'm interested in that handle. Oh, very, very interested in that handle. Absolutely. Goldman. Okay, so let me ask this question to get a little conversation stirring. Do you keep the group watch list as one watch list, and then do you keep your own separate that you find stocks that you like, or do you keep it all as one? I'm curious. And here's another question just to start conversation, because this may continue in circle later today. How many stocks are you watching on a daily basis? Our watch list is around 80 to 85, I think, right now as a group. Should get some interesting conversation flowing, maybe. All is one. Home Depot pulling back. We'll see. This was one I saw yesterday that I was thinking about. HWM. Kind of showing some signs of life, like it's going to stabilize. IBM, same thing. Pulling back. There's a... cup, handle. So this handle, what makes this important? Press says neither. I cherry pick and watch those. I love it. I love it. So what's the thinking here is that if I catch this handle, that this will go, and then I want to see it bust. Bing, 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 bing. That's what I'm looking for right there. Because when we get out of this resistance, blue skies, we tend to get a nice little first run. Now, the cup and handle pattern says that we're going to get this whole thing. And I believe it says in half the time. So it's like in this amount of time. But that's 2 moves, in my opinion. So it's like 1 move, 2 moves. I'd have to go back. This is Bill O'Neill. William O'Neill is kind of that's the IBD guys. Okay. Can I? Oh, Kevin, please. Please ask any question. They're all good questions. The candlestick is actually the chart construction. So each one of these is a candlestick. What you'll hear me do is reference like catchphrase names for what these candlesticks are. Yes, yeah, exactly, Press. It's a great question. It's one of those things where you're like, you hear different description and you're like, well, wait a second. Are you describing the general or the specific? I think that's a phenomenal question. I was in a workshop one time and they're like, hey, we want to do a working presentation. What would you do? It was actually candlestick construction, because I think it's important to break it down into what is the candle first. The candle is just the 4 points. I'll do today's. Open, the top. How do I know it's the top? Because it's a red candle. If it was a white, it's opposite. The current or the close, the bottom. The high and the low. That's the construct. If you looked at a bar chart, you would see the same thing. Two hash marks to the left or right. The left is the open, the right is the close. And then the highest it goes and the lowest it goes representative of the high and the low. So every one of these candles, you can quickly look at it and be like, oh, I know the open, the high, the low, the close. That's it. That's just price action. Then when you start to do something like this, that's what you described. That's a spinning top or a doji. It went up a little, it went down a little, but it basically stopped where it started right there. Versus if I had a candle that looked like this, that's a big bullish day. Versus a candle that looks like this, that is a big bearish day. So that is just a quick representation. So when I say today's candle, all I mean is today's price action, open, high, low, close. But when you hear me put a specific name, engulfing, Harami, doji, anything like that, And so to anybody out there, if you hear me put that on there, you're like, hey, that means something. Stop me and be like, what do you mean, Harami, Scott? Don't just assume that we know that. And I'll be like, you're right. I shouldn't make that assumption. And I'll say a Harami is an inside day, right? So we had this big day here, and then the next day it was this little inside day. And so what are the implications of that? Well, it's the volatility has lessened. It's inside. We don't know yet if it's going to go one way or the other. So there's just little things that we can catch about what's going on with price action. First, from just the price action, open, high, low, close. What does that mean relative to the day before and the day before? Then we move to the implication of the candle where we put a name on it. So 2 parts to that. And it's the same 2 parts to the way we do everything in technical analysis. We, as a group, start with price action, trend, support, and resistance. But do we look for things like double bottoms? Yeah, we'll talk about that. We look for patterns too. We're open to anything that's going to help us just simply understand what's going on with supply and demand. Hopefully that was a good answer and not too long. But I thought that was a phenomenally good question. Sometimes it's those basic questions where we just get hung up. I appreciate you asking it. And to everybody else, please. I have a tendency sometimes to just like get fast and I get excited talking about a certain concept. And I do make assumptions that I shouldn't. So I challenge you all. Just yank me back. Be like, hey, tell us. What are you talking about there? Anyways, let's go back to the watch list. Great sidestep into a little candlestick action. Kevin, tell me if that helped. And if not, let's continue the discussion in Circle today. IP. Yeah, it's still holding the 50, but it feels a lot more like a sell-off than it does a pullback. So I don't know. I'll withhold judgment. Small caps, just like the Dow, they still look fine, still look bullish. JCI, it's kind of grinding sideways, right? The sellers haven't done anything, but I'm starting to wonder what happened to our buyers. KKR, that's one of my favorites, so I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it today because I love KKR. I think we've had 3 trades on this one. I see one. Let's see, KKR. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes. The last one started here. Are they all winners? Let me see. KKR. Tell me if you've traded this one with me. That was pretty good. The first one was pretty good. The second one was very good. The third one was pretty good again. So I want number 4. Definitely want number 4. Okay, what's next? How much time? I've got 8 minutes. I'm doing great today. I feel like I've managed my time well today. Is it bad form to pat myself on the back for that? I don't know. MasterCard, I think it still looks setting up. Meta, overextended. To me, again, I can't trade with that. I need more of a full pullback. Morgan Stanley, I think we have so much good financial that I'm actually thinking of kicking it off the list. Microsoft, overextended. MicroStrategy. Okay, so I'm not doing it. I'm certainly not pulling an alert on it. But if you were gonna do it, that's kind of what you're looking for right there. That's you got a false start back here, but this is the next one if you want to give it a go. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. NDAQ. I see a green light. That could very well turn into an alert. Netflix overextended. NVIDIA setting up potentially. PLTR. Oh, PLTR. Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Trade is Right. Feeling it. Oh, it wants to. PLTR wants to get another one notched. KKR and PLTR are in a battle for number of trades and profitability within the group alerts for winning the stock. I'm gonna announce the stock of 2024, and it's either KKR or PLTR. They've been great for us. PayPal, look at that, setting up. Last time we didn't get good entry opportunity. This time I'm hoping I do. Q's looking pretty good today. Roblox. We were starting to get a pullback. It's a little bit uncertain now. Same with Reddit. RKLB is trying to stabilize. It's still technically holding this price level right here. So that's interesting to me. SoFi, look at that. Looks fantastic. The sellers have had the floor for about 7 to 8 days, and they've done nothing. It has hardly pulled back at all. SPY, bouncing back up. Oh, what does that little bounce back up do for the calendar spread, you're wondering? Well, funny you should ask. Puts it right back into the middle. Right back in the middle where I can do what? Nothing, and wait. Just wait. It's now Wednesday. Then I get Thursday, Friday. Once I get Friday, then what? I get Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then on Tuesday. And then at this point, if we get to this point next week, and I'll make sure I update Glenn with some instructions about management. I'm going to put like a conditional order out here and one out here that says if it crosses that line, just shut the whole trade down and lock the gain in. But I could sit the whole week and catch this where I'm now up around, $500 to $700 on this trade. That's going to be, considering the second trade, probably around a 50% return on 2 trades. It's about as good as a calendar is going to get. So anyway, this is fine. It's looking good. We'll keep talking about it. I hope at least. Here's one thing I would counsel is if I ever put a trade alert out and it's a type of trade that you're not familiar with, don't just discard it. Go paper trade it, right? Paper trade it. Just be like, yeah, I'm not quite sure what this is, but what a great thing to do on a paper trade environment where I can just put it on and learn and understand, right? So, and in fact, if you're, that's a great way to learn options is whatever you trade live, go trade a couple of different versions of that as an options trade just to get the experience. Oh, I got to tell you, I accelerated my options learning substantially doing that early in my trading. Okay, let's finish this up. I pat myself on the back, then I start yapping, and now I'm in jeopardy of not getting the watch list. Come on, Scott, get it together. TJX, maybe. T-Mobile, there's a couple of those inside days. You see how we have this big day inside, and then this one's just next to it. We're just like, what's going on? Is it bouncing? The stochastics looks pretty good. Hard to not look at that and be like, that seems like a maybe. One thing I could do, it's going to take a little longer, but the Heiken Ashi, when they catch up, could certainly give us a nice little piece. So, yeah, let's keep an eye on this one. Toast. I don't know. Kind of rolling over there. Tesla's starting to ease up, but it's been strong as can be. Taiwan Semiconductor. Ooh, there's another one of those inside days. Yes, Sam, the next time I do a calendar trade, I will walk you through it. In addition to that, if you go into our courses and you go into the options course, there is a calendar and a calendar application. You don't need to watch everything in front of it for that to make sense when it comes to options. If you understand the basics, right? If you just want a little more help on calls and puts and just the basics, then go to the beginning of that course. But if you have a pretty good idea, I would say go watch that because it's a great representation of it. I do both a educational piece and then a practical piece. So there's 2 sessions on that calendar spread. But the answer is yes, I will do more explanation, and I'll tell you what. It's looking like Friday is going to be good for that, with the VIX where it is and everything along those lines. And we're looking to do more trading. TTD, beautiful looking setup. Plenty of things still setting up. And a lot of them you'll find are in financials. Upwork. UUP, dollar strong. Here's the VIX coming back down. VRT pulling back, but stabilizing here above the 50. Victoria's Secret made a new high, pulling back, looking pretty good. Here is Walmart stabilizing. And another one that we're looking at today possibly is Zillow. Okay. All right. Well, actually, we did get through the whole list. Any questions before we go? Remember that. So what's the bottom line here? Market seems to be just doing fine. This last little pullback wasn't much. And now we're looking for setups. So what are we looking for today? Market holds like this. I definitely expect an alert to come. Glenn will be here this afternoon. All right. I think we're in a good place. Let me know if you see any concerns that I don't. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up for today and move on. Final thoughts. Okay, no dissents. Good to see everybody. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you guys very, very soon. As always, happy trading.